we began working with you on this project, our overarching goal was to illuminate artists' experiences of networking and finding connections with deaf, mad, and disability arts community and culture, with the aim to support the design and direction of the Network Connector directory. So after we conducted 6 interviews with members of Network Connector that are currently on it, we synthesized our research findings. And in doing so, we created a persona, Allie, who is an artist. She wants to build relationships with others in the community who understand her experiences. And she'd like to learn about paid work and collaborative opportunities that are relevant and accessible. And she values seeing other artists' work celebrated, and she hopes to explore others' projects in a centralized place. So here you can see our experience map that we created to visualize her current journey to connecting with other artists in the disability art space. So in the first phase, she learns about available and relevant opportunities through various touch points like social media, newsletters, and her personal network. However, she feels that networking during COVID is difficult given the online kind of circumstances. In the second phase, she investigates by researching other artists close to her with shared interests and experiences. And here she tries to find more about their goals and why they're on Network Connector. But the purpose of the directory and others' reasons that they're on it isn't all as clear as it could be to her. Third, she connects with an artist by sending an email, but she can't help but feel like she's cold calling them. So she needs to build trust with them. And finally, she builds the relationship in the build phase, but she's concerned about having the energy to maintain it over COVID. So for the purpose of Network Connector, you can see that it just highlighted the 2 phases in blue that we kind of redeveloped, which were investigate, where she tries to learn more about other artists, and the connect phase where she actually makes the connection with that other artist. And we kind of kept in mind that artists desire visibility in the community, which can lead to opportunity to connect and collaborate with others. So after selecting the investigate and connect phases of the experience map to focus on, we created a medium fidelity prototype that you've seen that would support the artists in finding and reaching out to other artists in the community. And we thought about what information would be present on artist Network Connector profiles, and added profile icebreakers as a gateway to invite connection and to begin conversation. So it was important for us to conduct usability testing with artists in the community to hear their perspectives on the app concept that we developed in medium fidelity. And we wanted to learn how different people would use, experience, and engage with the app so that we could iterate and make improvements that support connection. So the tasks that we focused on in usability testing were viewing another artist's profile on the app, creating their own Network Connector profile, responding to other artists' icebreakers, and finally, we wanted to do some A/B testing to know whether they preferred to reply to others' photos using pre-made replies or by writing their own. So in terms of key takeaways, we're excited that participants felt like the Network Connector profiles were very clear and simple. The visual hierarchy and the layout of the profile in the medium fidelity prototype supported participants to absorb relevant information quickly. But we also learned of areas for iteration and further reflection in further iterations of Network Connector. So the key takeaways in terms of content, participants really valued having certain content visible at all times. For example, having other artists' pronouns visible at all times when they were navigating the profile or even messaging the other artist. They didn't want to have to go back and forth. And we also received important feedback on the nuances of words in the profile creation, identity tags, and more. And you guys kind of flagged this as something that we should expect to kind of get in the usability testing. So we have more detailed notes on this and that we'll provide to you after the meeting that we just need to like tidy up a little bit. But these are kind of good, maybe suggestions for more research that you could further investigate in terms of like word choices and identity tags with community members. But overall, participants really valued the flexibility and options in terms of how to engage with the features. So this could mean flexibility of turning on or off others' ability to reply to your photos, or your icebreakers, and choosing your own icebreakers and replies, as well as having the options to use like pre-made ones if they don't want to come up with their own. So as I said before, we're going to add a link into this deck that we'll share with you that you can access after the meeting to see what participants liked and didn't like about the app. And maybe this can be helpful research for further iterations of Network Connector. So next, our team created several Hill statements, and these are kind of statements of intent that you develop before creating the apps that kind of provide meaningful user outcomes to keep us aligned to the value artists will receive from Network Connector. So specifically, we have 3 Hill statements. So the who is who they are, the what is what the prototype should be able to do, and the wow is the like feature that differentiates it from other solutions. So the first Hill statement is that artists can find other artists in the disability arts community with similar artistic interests in a centralized location, Network Connector. The second Hill is that artists can view other artists' intentions and goals regarding collaboration as soon as they open their Network Connector profile. And the third is that artists can spark conversation with other artists by responding to their chosen icebreakers and profile photos on Network Connector. Now we'll dive into Ali's 2B experience with Network Connector in more depth. So this will be Giselle who will take us through her 2B.
Okay, first we're just going to jump into the high fidelity prototype. So after our next step was to iterate on our medium fidelity prototype and turn it into a high fidelity concept, taking into account the testing feedback we could implement at this stage, and also thinking about color, contrast, and the atmosphere of visual design for the app. The link to the design file in Figma for this high fidelity prototype is available to you for your use and further iteration as well. And so the next few slides are going to be a brief preview of the different types of screens we've developed in high fidelity, and more information about the features will follow shortly in the presentation. So here are a few of the screens from the onboarding process in high fidelity. We've used a yellow at the top that is a of Creative Users Project's brand yellow. And we've also used blue for the buttons in a way to maintain high color contrast and legibility. Here we have a few screens from our persona, Ali's profile. So we'll go into these more in depth in a moment, but sort of at a glance, you can see the way her first profile would first look, the kinds of photos she can add, and also what the icebreakers might look like on her profile there. Here are a few screens from when our persona Ali views another artist's profile on Network Connector. So this is sort of the view of I'm on the app looking at someone else. So this is Ali looking at Jay's profile, and she can also respond to one of his photos. In this example, she's asking if this photo was at the old Workman Arts building. Again, this is also viewing another artist's profile. This is what it would look like to see someone else's icebreakers that they've created on the app. And then there's a little message icon there where Ali can then engage in a message with Jay and respond to their icebreakers directly. So with 2B Journey, with our consolidated research and testing findings and high fidelity prototype, we wanted to map the future networking journey for artists like Ali with the Network Connector app. We've solved some of the user pain points by taking the currently static Network Connector directory and transforming it into an interactive mobile app. This solution will make it easier for artists like Ali to make connection through sharing, exploring, and connecting. First, in the sharing phase, artists can share their work and what they're looking for, and decide when they feel like connecting with others by being able to adjust others' ability to reply to them. Second, in the explore phase, artists can look for other artists whose areas of interest are shown on their profile and explore what other artists would like to chat about. And third, in the connect phase, artists can reach out and chat with others in a more casual and low-key way. Now we'll take you through each phase of the 2B journey in more detail and how they solve the pain points that artists like Ali experience. So in Share, the pain points Ali previously experienced were related to a lack of clarity on others' goals and boundaries, as well as the purpose of the Network Connector directory. She saw a space to share her work amongst the community, but she was unsure if the directory was the right place to do so. Now, the information architecture of the profile highlights important information that Ali initially sought in the investigate phase of the as is experience map, such as she was looking for other artists' goals, their work positions, and their geographic location. This information helps artists like Ali find regional collaborators in their discipline or medium to connect with. Ali can share photos of her work on her profile and also has the option of filling out an about this photo field to communicate the meaning or context of her photos. This provides her with opportunities for visibility in the community, which we knew was important to artists. Also, research participants spoke about the difficulty of engaging in networking with their capacities varying sometimes due to chronic illness. We aim to address this by adding a button that toggles on and off so artists can decide when they want to receive replies to their icebreakers, enabling users to change the flow of information to them at any point. This also addresses the worry that some participants had about messaging someone who might not want to engage, adding clarity for artists like Ali when they're reaching out. Now we'll move into Explore. At first, Ali lacked an understanding of why others were on the Network Connector directory. It made it hard to email others when she often felt like she was cold calling without always having a common thread to connect on. The formality of emailing required a lot of research upfront in exploring other artists to connect with. Adjusting the information architecture to highlight the sorts of collaboration that other users sought under the Looking For section displays this information upfront. Additionally, by using identity tags, users can find others similar or different to them that they would like to work with. To reduce the feeling of cold calling, we introduced icebreakers on users' profiles. The icebreakers provide artists like Ali with fun, casual details or talking points to respond to that you don't typically get in artist bios or statements. This reduces the feeling of cold calling and invites new conversation possibilities. Research participants expressed that the icebreakers gave them something to talk about in a playful and less formal way than emailing. Now moving into Connect. Again, during the connect phase, when artists reach out, it feels like cold calling and they were unsure if they'd get a response. Users can now feel confident reaching out to artists as other artists have self-selected what they want others to talk to them about. From there, they can decide if they have shared interests and the possibilities for collaboration will come further down the line. We feel confident that this will help members of the deaf, mad, and disability arts communities make connection based on shared interests and develop meaningful relationships that will lead to more future opportunities.